Hi friends, it's Shannon from the app, and this is Prop It Up. Okay, so this week I made a turkey. You're going to need some stuffing, needle and thread, some acrylic paint, latex painter's caulk, and a pair of pantyhose. So, let's make a turkey. Okay, so we are starting with our soft foam. You can get this foam at any kind of craft or sewing store. They sell upholstery foam of different thicknesses. This type actually is that egg crate bed padding material that you can get at Walmart or Target. We happen to have some of it in our shop, and for this project it will work just fine. I just accordion style folded it so that it got to the thickness that I needed. But it will be fine because we're going to cover it anyway. And I'm just drawing an outline, basic outline of a turkey shape so that I know what shape to cut when I start carving. Because this is a little thinner than most upholstery foam, I'm going to take a low temp hot glue gun and I'm going to just tack the different layers. This is just going to hold it in place while I'm carving. It doesn't have to be a permanent solution. Just a little dab of hot glue will be fine. You want to use low temp hot glue. If you use the hot temp, it takes forever to dry and ends up kind of melting the foam anyway, but low temp I found on soft foam works pretty well. So once that's all tacked together, I'm going to take an electric carving knife, and it's the same type of carving knife that you'd use to carve a real turkey. They work really well with soft foam. It kind of cuts through it like butter, and I'm just going to cut this down in half so that it's a little easier to work with. Look at how smooth this cuts, watch. Oh, isn't that so nice? That's really cool. It's a little easier to use this, especially when you need to carve foam, than trying to cut it with like scissors and stuff. It gives you a smoother, straighter cut, and it also is a lot faster. So speaking of faster, I'm going to speed up this next part of the video, and it's literally just I'm just cutting around the shape of the turkey that I drew. Look at how smooth that is. I just love cutting foam with an electric knife. I think it's so cool. So you just cut around that shape, and then after you get the shape cut out, you kind of want to carve it a little bit, you know, make the top a little smaller than the bottom, take the edges off so there's not hard edges because turkeys are round and plump. So just give that little bit of detail there. And also when you finish the top, go ahead and what I like to do is go on the bottom as well, and kind of round the edges on that, because even though it's going to be laying on a platter, you want it rounded up a little bit. It's a little detail that'll make it look a little bit more realistic than flat down on a serving platter. So once you have all of that, the next material you're going to use is polyfill, or what I had was an old pillow. I don't throw away old pillows because there's good stuffing in that. And one of the things that I found about this pillow in particular is that when you cut it open, I thought that it was just really matted down, awful polyfill that was really uncomfortable to lay on, but it wasn't. It was like a roll of batting, which I thought was cool. I've never used that before, but I will in the future now, because when you pull off a layer of this batting, or if you were going to go buy batting from, you know, a craft store to use, you can just pull a full layer off and wrap your turkey in that. Normally I would take polyfill and kind of fill in the little crevices and things like that. But this batting you can just wrap around and it makes a nice round shape and it makes life so much easier. So, pro tip that I just figured out this week, use batting to wrap around your turkey. So let's speed this video up again. You're just going to take a layer of that and wrap it around your turkey. You can secure it with a little bit of hot glue, but it should stay on that foam pretty well. And get it to the shape that you want. You know, in turkeys, when you look at the picture, they've got a little bit more up top, so I just took a little bit more of that foam batting, polyfill, whatever that is, and put it up on top like so. And again, the low temp hot glue works just fine. Okay, so you have your turkey, the shape and everything set. Everything is secure with the batting. So now it is time to bring out the pantyhose. Go ahead and go for the control top, full support, get the good stuff. And you just want to stretch it out, put the legs where the turkey legs would be, and stuff that turkey on in there. I say you want to go for the full support, better brand of pantyhose, because if you go for the super cheap ones, what happens is they don't cover as well. So when you try to pull them over the polyfill, one, they may rip, but also when you try to paint it, some of the polyfill sticks out and your turkey kind of looks furry, and nobody wants a furry turkey on stage. So make sure that you get the full support, full coverage type of pantyhose. So once you get that in there and hike the legs up to where the turkey legs would be, this is why I really like pantyhose, is because you can manipulate it really easily without having to really sew the fabric too much. They tend to stretch very nicely, and it's really easy to shape the stuffing and everything in them, and then as you shape it, the pantyhose fabric really holds its shape, and it's really super nice. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is maybe about midway down, you want to cut off the legs and keep the tops of those legs, because we are going to use them in just a second. Also, on the other side where it's open, you want to cut off the waistband and then go ahead and sew that closed, just a basic slip stitch. I cut off the waistband because I think that it lays a little nicer. The slip stitch does not have to be pretty. We're going to be covering it up anyway. I did not do a very good job of getting that sewing step in the shot, so we're just going to skip right past that, but just know that you just want to do a basic slip stitch with basic thread, nothing special. Okay, so here we go. We've got that all closed up and it's nice and pretty. So now we are going to start on the turkey legs. So you want to use 2 dowel rods, like 6 inches long maybe. These are literally ones that I found in the shop, about the thickness of a turkey leg, or turkey leg bone, I should say. And go back to your batting or your polyfill, and you are just going to take a couple of sections of that. You're going to take this batting and you are going to wrap it around one of your sticks to make the shape of a turkey leg, just like so. I think this is also how I would probably make cotton candy if I had to make it. I've never had to make cotton candy, but this probably would be a good method, actually. That and then spraying it, maybe. That would be cool. Maybe that's next week's project. Anyway, okay, so you've got the basic shape. So once you have that together, you just put that in the leg of the turkey. And this is, again, it's the cool thing about using pantyhose and the material is that it's really easy to shape. You just kind of pull the material, it stretches so nicely. You don't really have to sew it. And it holds its shape. It's really just a cool material to use, especially when you're making food props and stuff like that. I use it to make like bread and chicken legs, obviously. If I can make turkey leg, you can make chicken leg. I've made hot dogs out of it. I don't know. You can use it for a lot of things. Okay, so then once you have the shape that you want, you just want to pull the excess of the leg, and it stretches so much, right? So you take your low temp hot glue gun and put a little dab of that on the stick part right there, and you're just going to secure the pantyhose leg just by wrapping it around. And here's the cool thing, look at how cool this is. Okay, so when you wrap it around and you twist it, wrap it around, it creates the shape of the end of the bone on a turkey leg. How cool is that? Cool, so you have that shape, and then you cut off the excess. And what I do, just to try and make it a little neater and cleaner, I put a little dab of glue on the tip of that turkey leg, and I take the excess, the end part of that, and I kind of just stretch it over all of that, over the whole knot, and it kind of cleans up the tip of that. And then you just finish securing all the rest of those edges with hot glue, and there you have a cool turkey leg. So you're just going to do that on the other side as well. And after we do that, then I will show you how I make the wing of the turkey. Okay, so next step is making the wing of the turkey. You're just going to use 2 more dowel rods, maybe like 5-6 inches. Use your judgment based on your picture of how long you want them. And you take your batting and wrap it around the entire dowel rod. In the picture that I have, all you can really see is just a solid wing. Sometimes the wings have the little V shape. So if yours has that, I guess probably I would use like wire maybe to make that shape and wrap the batting around that, and then shape it that way. But for my purpose, just the dowel rod is fine. And you want to take the tops of the pantyhose that you cut off, the legs, and go ahead and put that batting with the stick into the toe part of the leg, just like that. There you go. And then after you get that, kind of shape it a little bit, you're going to cut the excess off and then do a little slip stitch to close it up, and that'll make the little wing portion. I'm going to speed this video up a little bit. But you're just going to close it by doing a slip stitch on the open portion of the wing, and then you are going to sew that onto the body of the turkey where the wing would be. And that's the cool thing about using the better pantyhose, is that because they're thicker, you're also able to sew through them and they don't just rip right through. They hold the thread pretty easily. So after I had the wing of the turkey sewn on, I did put a strip of hot glue along it just to further secure it. You don't have to, but you know, better safe than sorry. So you do the same thing to the other side. After we finish that step, I will show you what our first layer of paint looks like. Alright, time to paint. So we've got our latex painter's caulk, we've got our mixing cup, a mixing spatula, and our good old acrylic paint. For this first layer, I'm using brown and yellow, and I'm just going to match the lightest color on my picture for the turkey skin, and then we will go darker from there. I always try to mix my paint before I add in any of the latex painter's caulk, just because I feel like it gives me a purer color. Also, for the painter's caulk, I'm using clear instead of the white. One, because it will be more true to the color that I have mixed before I put it in, but also the clear, when it dries, it's kind of a glossy type of finish, and the white is more of a matte, and I think that the glossy type of finish goes more in line with the finish of a roast turkey. So that's why I'm using that instead of the white. I've got a full fresh tube of this painter's caulk, and I used probably a good 3/4 of it. I'm just mixing a little bit in at a time, and you just want to make sure that it's fully combined. So once you get that to the consistency that you like, you're just gonna start spackling your turkey. You know, typical Monday. You can use a paintbrush or you can use the paint spatula. Either works fine. I like to start with the seams, the little part that you did the slip stitch on, and then there's a seam down the center. And then you want to go until the top is completely coated. One thing that works really nicely after you've got a nice coating on there is if you have a little cup of water, you can dip your paintbrush or your paint spatula into the water and use that to kind of smooth out the layer of the painter's caulk. It's okay if your turkey's a little wrinkly, but you don't want those, you can see those like little lines and stuff. You don't want to see all of those after it's dried. Just make sure that all of that is coated, and you're gonna have to wait probably about 24 hours for this top layer to dry. And then you want to do the bottom. Most turkeys on stage are served on a platter, so the bottom does not have to be as thick as the top, but it's good for consistency to go ahead and coat the bottom as well, so that you know, the coloring is all right, and God forbid your turkey falls off the platter, it won't look like you just only decided to paint the top. So you can see that water is making that nice smooth texture. That's pretty cool. Little paintbrush action in there. And I think in a second you can kind of see my husband. Yep, there he is. He's walking around. He's trying to rig up something that I can hang the turkey from so that I can paint both sides at once. To speed up my drying time. And you know what? It totally worked. Thanks, honey. So we get both sides painted that base color, and then once it is fully dry, we will jump to our next layer of paint. Okay, so we have our turkey, and it is painted on both sides. And I went ahead and tied those little legs together. I wish I had a thicker string, but that's what I have right now. Also, for this second layer of paint, I like to use my airbrush sprayer. You certainly don't have to do this if you don't have one in your possession. You can just do these finishing touches with the paint and a paintbrush. I like using my airbrush because it makes me look like a far better painter than what I actually am. There's two schools of thought on using this technique for airbrush. I've done a lot of research. Some places say that you should only use paint specifically designed for the machine. And then there's also a technique where you mix this acrylic paint with window cleaner, with Windex. The negatives on that, from what I've read, is that if you use this a lot, it may corrode the inside of your airbrush gun. I've had this for about 5 years, and I probably use it every couple months or so. It depends on the show. I use it a lot when I'm making prop food. It has not caused me problems yet, and so I really like this method. I just make sure that I'm in a well-ventilated area, and it works really well for me. Certainly, if you're going to be using this every single day, I would go ahead and invest in the actual airbrush paint. But this way, you just, it's mostly Windex and then a little bit of paint, and it's just a very, very thin mixture. But either way, if you're doing that or if you're doing it by hand with a paintbrush, you're just going to start with a slightly darker color than your base color and just get darker as you go, and you just want to paint it. Just keep looking at the picture and paint it in layers, like a turkey would roast. So after you're done with your airbrush, you can see that I added a little black, a little brown, just wherever it would naturally darken. And then I just go through and do some finishing touches by hand with an actual paintbrush. I will say that if you are painting this all by hand, I would go ahead and keep a cup of water handy, and you can use that water to help you blend to make those colors look a little more natural. But this is just adding a little bit of detail to kind of match the picture that I'm working off of. Blend, 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 blend. That's all I can say, is just blend it. Okay, and I'm going to do a quick freeze frame here. That is Glossy Wood Tone. I love this stuff. It's a floral spray that you can get at like Michael's Craft Store, and it just gives that little extra something if you need to like age paper or do like a little brown tone on something, say like a turkey. It works on fabric, it works on fake flowers, it works on a lot of things, and it's just a really great thing to have in your prop shop. It is very smelly, and you need to make sure that you are in a well ventilated area because it's like almost worse than spray paint as far as the fumes. So if you're going to use it, make sure that you have a lot of fresh air around. I'm just going to take a little bit of that and do a nice nice light coat on the turkey just to give it that little bit of finish. Do it on the top, do it on the bottom. Stuff also dries fairly quickly as well, and it comes in all different colors. Okay, and then to finish it off, just take some high gloss spray and spritz that over your turkey to give it that nice, juicy, fresh out of the oven appearance. Throw a little greenery down on a platter, put the turkey on top of that, and you have a delicious looking roast turkey for your next production. So that is how I make a turkey out of pantyhose. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead, give it a like, give it a share. If you have a suggestion for a prop that you want to know how to make, if I've made it before, I will show you my process. If I haven't, I will try to figure it out and we can learn together. Thanks so much for watching. Stay happy, stay healthy, and create something today. It's good for your soul.